a service of CNC Worldwide.
The Daily is a service of CNC News brought to you by the Greece Chamber of Commerce, providing more than 800 area companies with business solutions since 1984. There is an awful lot to tell you about in the last 24 hours. A federal bankruptcy court judge has approved Eastman Kodak's reorganization plan. It's a done deal. Kodak spokesman Chris Veranda said that puts Kodak on track to emerge from Chapter 11 bankruptcy by its target date of September 3rd. Veranda said there are no more obstacles to the reorganization of Kodak as a new and smaller company, one which deals in large-scale commercial printing and packaging printing and not with photography or consumer digital imaging. Kodak used the Chapter 11 process to massively reduce its costs, notably by getting rid of its pension liabilities and massively reducing its debt load. Analyst George Conboy of Brighton Securities said most of the secured creditors will get about a nickel on the dollar back on what Kodak owed them. And of course, all of Kodak's previous stock is now worthless. New shares will be issued to the new investors who subscribe to it this summer when the reorganization is complete. The Seneca Nation of Indians is hiring Flaum Rochester LLC to organize and coordinate gaming and hospitality development in Henrietta. Flaum is a subsidiary of Flaum Management. That's one of Rochester's biggest property management companies. Seneca Nation President Barry Snyder said in a statement that the nation is interested in opportunities to expand its gaming operations. And a nation spokeswoman said that means they're interested in more than just casino development. Henrietta Supervisor Michael Udelson was not available for comment. Rochester Mayor Tom Richards says he believes there will ultimately be a casino in the Rochester area, and he is open to it actually being in the city, but the mayor said he doesn't believe a casino should be in the downtown area. The U.S. Supreme Court holds oral arguments the morning of November 6th in Town of Greece versus Galloway, the Greece Town Board prayer case. That information was posted Tuesday on the High Court's website. The town is defending its practice of inviting local members of the clergy to lead a prayer before board meetings. Greece residents Susan Galloway and Linda Stevens sued the town. They charge the practice violates the Establishment of Religion clause. A federal appeals court agreed, but in agreeing to hear the case, the Supreme Court referred back to its last ruling on the subject in 1983. The court held then that government bodies may open with an invocation because of an unambiguous and unbroken history of legislative prayer dating back to the first Congress. Both members of the House and Senate and the Obama administration have filed friend of the court briefs supporting the town. Irondequoit residents may have to vote for a second time on building a new main library because the town did some steps of the approval process out of order. At Tuesday night's town board meeting, Irondequoit officials said they were wrong in believing the town didn't need to do a full environmental review of the project. One has since been done by an outside engineer who found it will have no negative impact. But the town board had already voted to move ahead with the plan, and town residents voted overwhelmingly in April to borrow $13 million to build the new central library. Former town councilman Richard Barone, now a frequent critic of the current town administration, said the April vote is invalid.
Do the right thing. Put it on the ballot on November 5th if you're so confident that the people really support it.
The town concedes that because the votes were taken before the paperwork was done, they have to be done over again. The board can either schedule another referendum or opt for a permissive referendum. That means there would be another vote only if enough people sign petitions demanding one. Supervisor Mary Joyce DeRizio said the board will decide which at its next meeting. While admitting they were wrong, town officials and members of the public were critical of the library opponents who filed suit to overturn the referendum. Library supporter Bob LaRosa said Barone is wasting taxpayers' money by delaying what the public wants.
Before the vote, Mr. Barone was determined to defeat it. He campaigned against it, he ran questionable ads against it, and yet he failed. So he went after the next best thing. Let's start throwing up obstacles based on technicalities.
But Barone said the issue is that the town violated state law. He said that has become a pattern of behavior for Irondequoit. The Rochester Fire Department rescued 2 people from the Genesee River Gorge Tuesday night using both rope and water rescue teams. Deputy Chief George Peterson said a man and a woman were stuck down in the gorge. Firefighters rappelled down to them, then lowered them the rest of the way down to the river, and the water team then took them by boat across the river to an ambulance waiting at Seth Green Drive. Both patients were okay and refused medical treatment. It took roughly 3 hours to get them out of the gorge. As President Obama prepares to visit Buffalo, Syracuse, and Binghamton Thursday, rumors are swirling he may pay a visit to Auburn, possibly to the Harriet Tubman House in the village where the abolitionist lived and is buried. There's currently a drive underway to make that a national monument. Reporters noticed that the president's schedule appears to allow several hours longer than necessary for his bus tour to travel from Buffalo to Syracuse. Now the Auburn Citizen said it has found a notice to pilots on the FAA website that the skies over Auburn will be restricted airspace from 7:30 p.m. Thursday to 10 Friday morning. And a Rochester woman accused of threatening to kill the president and making false statements to the U.S. Secret Service has been arrested again. She is charged with violating the conditions of her pretrial release. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 37-year-old Christine Wright Darasaw of Rochester was arrested again because of several incidents involving Rochester police. These occurred while Darasaw was on release pending trial on the earlier charge of threatening the president. The government says police arrested her in July for disorderly conduct. A month later, she allegedly threatened to shoot people at the Webster Avenue Rec Center. Last week, she allegedly called Social Security's 800 number and said she was coming to the office to take someone to hell with her. Darasaw is back behind bars, pending a hearing Friday. And police say it will probably be another 4 months before they have a definitive answer about how a Rochester 16-year-old died. The body of Sterling Williams was recovered from the Genesee River last week after he was last seen in Genesee Valley Park. The Monroe County Medical Examiner's Office has additional forensic testing and investigative work underway. Links to these and other stories are to the left of the player window, and at the bottom of the page are links you can use to post news, information, photos, whatever you have directly to us. The next news is as it happens. Updates are as necessary. You can help us be the judge of that. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.